Hey everybody, so I want to do this video. Here's Jen Shah and her husband, Coach Sharif from the Housewives of Salt Lake City. And I thought about it, I was like, wow, what if, what if she was a black woman and got caught up in this scam that she pled guilty to? Wow, what do you think would happen? I'm willing to bet you'd be hearing things like, oh man, that's what I'm saying. He shouldn't have married her. They sure do things to bring her brother down, put it on that black man. I'm sure they would have ragged on her, basically, probably literally dragged her through the mud, through the coals of hell and back. But I was searching and I just didn't see the men folk in the social media streets going off on Jen Shah. But if it had been a black woman, I know it's a double standard. You would have to worry about the majority in society attacking her. It would be your own kind. I was like, wow, interesting. But I understand it is the preference. So I want to play this clip, and it just goes to show you the mammies always have their cape on for the men. I've yet to see maybe a few don it for you. A few will, but the majority won't. And the few that will, they do risk the chance of getting, I don't know, possibly murked by a dust bucket. So here it says, this article here, and I'm going to also play a clip for you to hear. The Salt Lake Tribune, a real housewife of Salt Lake City, SOC, speculates that Jen pleaded guilty to spare Sharif. Let's go ahead and get the read over with. The article reads, the most interesting thing in part 1 of the season 3 reunion of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City was the preview for part 2, when at least one of the housewives suggests that Jen Shah pleaded guilty to federal fraud charges to cover for her husband, University of Utah assistant football coach Sharif Shah. So again, they think she pleaded guilty to federal fraud charges to cover for her husband. In the preview clips, host executive producer Andy Cohen says there was a speculation that she pled guilty to keep Coach from being implicated. Whitney Rose says, if that's true, it makes sense, and asks if Sharif is letting Jen take the fall. Whitney replies, possibly. Heather also speculated that Sharif's possible guilt in the previous episode. So Heather also speculated about Sharif's possible guilt in the previous episode. And here they are, I believe this is her leaving the courthouse. So let's listen to this part here from the reunion.
I mean, I will write her if she wants that.
And Andy's, they're discussing about, she goes to prison, if Heather's going to be there for her, how the family. So let's listen to this. And I want you to hear, I may have to play it twice, what Andy says.
Looking on Omar and Coach, and I don't know.
There was speculation that she pled guilty to keep Coach from being implicated in any way. Is that anything that any of you thought?
I thought about that. Like, if that was true, it makes sense. Sharif is a lovely person, and he's always so on, right? That sometimes I've always struck me as too good to be true.
So does that?
Not the preference said he's always so on. It's too good to be true. So don't forget, these men always put the preference above black women, and they always think the best. But as you can see with the preference, it's the opposite. He always seems to be on. It's too good to be true. So that tells me she's looking for a fault. Let's continue.
To keep Coach from being implicated in any way. Is that anything that any of you thought?
I thought about that. Like, if that was true, it makes sense. Sharif is a lovely person, and he's always so on, right? That sometimes I've always struck me as too good to be true.
So does that mean you think he possibly had knowledge and is letting her take the fall?
Possibly. I think it's a theory, a possibility.
It's possible that he had knowledge. I mean, they have to file taxes together.
What do you think?
I don't know the first thing about their relationship. I think it's, pulling on a thread. I don't think he could be so supportive if he knew she was implicated. Because we were there with him, and it was like he wanted to read everything.
Now, listen to this. when she said he wanted to read everything. This lets you know the majority see the Dusties, these men for who they are. And unlike the Black women, especially the mammies, they don't think positive first. Listen to what Andy says when she says he wanted to read through everything. Coach is also, as I understand, an attorney.
Didn't you think like maybe Sharif knew when we
you
met?
think
Like
that's
there's a
an act?
possibility.
Did you hear that? So Andy goes, I guess he's just being objective. Do you think that's an act?
Knowledge. I mean, they have to file taxes together.
What do you think?
I don't know what the first thing about their relationship. I think it's, pulling on a thread. I don't think he could be so supportive if he knew she was implicated.
Right.
Because we were there with them and it was like he wanted to read everything.
Didn't you think like maybe Sharif knew when we
you
met?
think
Like
that's
there's
an
a
act?
possibility. Because
I mean, I don't know
when
anything
we
anymore.
when we met for lunch, you brought up the fact that like, hey, how could Sharif not know?
I think the coach discovered what Jen was doing and that it was impossible to explain away. I really feel like it was financial and they saw something that was like, listen, it's not worth rolling the dice because it's going to be so.
Now, let's be real. So here's the thing about it. As you can tell, no one is willing to put all the blame on Jen. Let's be real. And I'm not trying to defend him at all because I really don't care. But for the sake of the argument, let's be real. We are talking about the feds. Okay? We are talking about the feds. The feds are like a woman in a relationship. When they ask you the question, trust and believe, they already know the answer. What they're doing is to see if you're going to be honest, cooperative, or, if they're going to have to be a little bit more detailed or a little bit more hard on you. It's my opinion. But most cases, when they ask the question, they know the answer. Okay? They don't just start some next week and it's finished in 3 days. Most are very thorough. That's why they've got like a crazy winning rate. It's like maybe over 95, 97%. I mean, seriously. Again, that's my understanding. So stop and think. Do you really think that if the feds had found some information to possibly implicate Coach, a Black man, and I think he's African, do you really think they would just give him a free pass? Do you really think if they found some information on a Black man that it's going to look the other way and say, oh, well, we're just going to go ahead and take one. We want him to be a father for his children. Do you think they would really just do that and just look the other way and just say, hey, we're just going to go ahead and go after Jen Shah? I think not. Trust and believe. If they had any wrongdoing on a Black man in her little scheme that she pled guilty to, first of all, the assistant would have named him. And when I saw the show, it was always her and the assistant. I never saw them conducting business with Coach Sharif around. So my point is, the rest of society sees Black men way different than Black women. We're ready to fight hard, even though they stomp you in the ground. We're ready to fight hard for you. Or fight, put that cape on or choke you down, trying to bring a Black man down. Really? But the rest of society is kind of like what they expect, something shady. So it's like saying these people want to present the narrative that I'm seeing them present is like saying, hey, she could not have done this on her own. It had to have been him. Ergo, she's taking the fall to protect him. Again, I don't care to defend him, could care less. But I'm just for the sake of the argument. Do you really think if the feds had found something to convict or even at least little whiff that he was possibly implicated or also engaged in her fraud, do you think they would have just ignored it and let it go? No. They would have wasted time in putting up, snatching him up. Are you kidding? They'll snatch anybody up. But what does that tell you? So I don't care how they can put the pedestal up put the preference on a pedestal. You can have your money, get your education. Even in those same circles, these women, they still think the same about you, about Black men. The only one who's like, oh no, you can't do this to the brothers. The only ones who are like that are Black women. You heard Whitney say, he's always on. It's too good to be true. You said about the other husbands? So it speaks volumes. And the sad thing is, these little chocolate drops, they really think that they are accepted because people smile at them, don't hurl insults, and they really think I'm accepted. But this on this reunion is it showed the true colors. They've been discussing this more than likely behind closed doors. Even though the feds have not implicated him at all in this scheme, in this fraud that she pled guilty to, but they're still thinking. They can't just put off on her. That shows you what they think about black men. And these black men are delusional. He probably thought, oh, yeah, these are my friends. Think so positive. I've seen them on the show. And now look, they are trying to throw him in the hat, speculating that Jen pled guilty to spare Sharif. Speculating that he's of low character and that he probably, because number one, it couldn't be her. She's a preference like them. She did something bad. Oh, you know what? I bet baby she did something bad because she's with a black man. When they see us, this is how they see you. So I don't care how these black men want to parade themselves. Got my degree, my education, I got some money, I got a preference. The joke is on you, boo. They still see through you. They still see you as a collective. They see you and depict you as the collective of black men. It's got to be some shady somewhere. And you can hear her say it. I'm gonna play it one more time. He's like, "Oh, do you think it was an act?"
When we met for lunch, you brought up the fact that, like, hey, how?
I think it's, pulling on a thread. I don't think he could be so supportive if he knew she was implicated. Because we were there with them, and it was like he wanted to read everything.
Didn't you think like maybe Sharif knew when we met? Like there's a possibility.
See, do you think that's an act? And you know what? I think they probably think it, and I understand it. I don't have a problem with it. They see how they use black women every day. Andy said, "So you think that's an act?" To pretend to be concerned. They see how they use black women every day. So they can run off into preference land. Guess what? That hashtag is still on your ass. Sorry, not. So in these circles, they think they're being accepted. Oh, yes, because they're nice and my friends. They're speculating. Even though the feds have come through this and haven't found anything, it couldn't just be Jen. Coach has to be in on it. Why? Because he's a black man, an African man. So the world sees them. Like I said, I don't care how you can get dressed up and you can move in a gated community, millions of dollars. In the back of their mind, that chocolate drop mentality of the black man collectively, it's still there. And this right here just showed it. He's reading through everything. Do you think it's an act? So she could not have pulled this crime off herself, this fraud that she pled guilty to. They want to bring him in. Why? I think because he's a black man. Anyway, let me know what you all think about it. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and share. And I'm out.